welcome to the F1 Time Portal. Today, we're sharing our POV on the 2025 Qatar Grand Prix. I'm your host, Luigi.
And I'm your other host, Andrew. So let's go.
Welcome back, Andrew. Thanks for filling in for Rosa again.
No problem at all. Thanks for inviting me back, Louis.
No problems. Now, we've got some housekeeping from last race, haven't we?
We have. We
were
recorded a bit early.
Yeah. And what was the surprise?
Before the disqualifications of the McLaren duo, which subsequently turned everything on its head post the Las Vegas race.
Makes you wonder, what's Formula One worth? You're going to wonder why I'm asking that, aren't you? I don't have ChatGPT here, but it's worth billions, right?
Yeah.
Is it worth billions? We'd have to say.
Oh, you have to think so.
So why is it that they only randomly check those skid planks? They can't afford it. It's a resource thing, you know?
Are you talking about the FIA? You're talking about the teams randomly checking them?
The FIA, because you know how they randomly check a limited number of cars? And I remember when the Ferraris got disqualified earlier this year, there was argument that we reckon more cars have been impacted by this. And this time it was McLaren's turn to be caught, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know whether... I think it's a targeted checking, though, as well. I mean,
yeah,
you know, subsequent to that race, I mean, I don't know whether you noticed anything during the race, but I didn't pick it up at the time, but I remember when Piastri passed Hadjar, I think, after the virtual safety car, and his car was sparking like crazy down the back straight.
Yeah.
And then obviously the cryptic messages between McLaren and Norris telling him to slow down at the end. So, you know, I think if you're in the know, you're in the know. You would have known that something was up.
Are you referring to the slowing down, or when they said do your best? Was that do your best not to scrape the skid plank?
Well, I think in Las Vegas, it was all about, you know, lifting and coasting in certain corners. I think they were trying to put whoever it was listening off to think it was something else. But you know, it's a slam dunk, isn't it? As soon as they say there's an investigation into plank wear, it's pretty much an instant disqualification these days. So.
Yeah, pretty, and have both of them affected as well.
But it's interesting though your concept about, you know, what is Formula One worth? And then you get a team like McLaren making you would from the outside you think is a seemingly fairly simple error to not make, and the ramifications are huge.
Yeah, and I mean, considering not just because even Alex Albon said they should be testing all the cars, not just randomly, and considering how many sensors these cars have, I'm sure there's a sensor for the skid plank. I'm sure there is. Hence the dubious messages that you're alluding to.
That's right.
Like they're basically using code to say, what could they do? Like, just don't make it spark so much. Don't draw so much attention to it.
Well, I think the damage had been done by then.
Yeah, I think it had been. So it did close the championship up, didn't it? Max, very happy.
It did. And, you know, we'll talk about it later probably, but after this weekend as well, you know, had they not been disqualified in Las Vegas, it was probably pretty much all over. So
yeah, and now it's all on.
And now it's all on.
Yeah,
so
I mean, this is major.
Very exciting. Yep.
I mean, we're obviously talking about the Qatar Grand Prix, which we mentioned at the very beginning. And I mean, I'm trying to remember the last time we had 3 drivers in the running for the championship at the end. My memory goes back to a picture in 1986. I think that was the Mansell, PK and Prost.
Yeah, 86 was Mansell, PK and Prost in Adelaide, which was obviously a dramatic finale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there was another one somewhere on the line, but I can't pick it up myself. But
I know in 64, definitely there were 3 drivers.
Yeah.
I'm going back a bit now.
And I guess the last time we had even 2 drivers in the hunt was the infamous 2021
Yes.
finale, the showdown.
The race we can't talk about.
We can't talk about. We've all been banned from talking about.
Yeah. There's definitely been. There was also a championship where Scheckter was in the running as well. I'm trying to remember it was in the early 70s. It'll come back to me later probably. But anyway, still we're jumping the gun because we're assuming with the result is known.
Right.
If you're listening to this, you know that Max won the race, and should he have won the race? But we'll come to that, won't we?
We'll come to that, absolutely.
Yeah. So Qatar sprint qualifying. I'm not a big fan of sprint weekends. Are you?
Look, I'm probably more a traditionalist myself. I find that they often, you often get some interesting results, in the qualifying.
Yeah.
Because they have to use the compounds of tyres, like the medium in the first two stints, and then the soft in the last one. So you often get some weird results, but the racing's generally fairly tame because it's just
they don't want to wreck
19,
their car.
20 laps. Yeah, 19, 20 laps straight out. There's no real strategy.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously this one, there was a couple of interesting qualifying results. Tsunoda out qualified Verstappen.
Yeah.
Alonso qualified fourth, so it sort of mixed the grid up a little bit.
Yeah, it did. And in that regard, that's nice. But we also had Hamilton out in SQ1.
Yep,
that
again.
was an ominous sign for Ferrari for the weekend. Yeah, again. And Piastri on pole, like he suddenly found form again. So that was
probably
impressive.
the first time for several races that his car looked like it was, back to it was at the start of the year, where it was very, very stable. Didn't seem to be twitching around too much. And Norris seemed to be the one that was, just probably not quite on his game this week.
Yeah, if he's got Piastri waking up, he's got a real battle on his hands. But luckily, he's got a bit of a decent points gap on him now. But one thing I was going to say, the only thing I was going to say about sprint qualifying was that Hamilton, how down he's appearing in the interviews. Did you see the interview after where they asked him, about SQ1, and he was just wanting to talk about the weather?
Well, I don't know. Is that a response to the also the Ferrari president's comments of a few weeks ago, where he was chastising the drivers for whinging too much? So I think it's probably a combination of him. Yeah. Obviously, he's not happy, and the car. Well, the car was just was rubbish all weekend, really. So but he's obviously not performing to where he wants to be as well. So
and still being outpaced by Leclerc consistently as well.
Yeah, and we might get to it later, but you'd probably look at the Ferrari now and think there could be 6 or 7 cars in front of it just on pure pace and performance.
Yeah, I would be guessing that Ferrari have clearly deprioritized this car. So I'm not going to dig too deep into it. So in that regard, I'm not too fussed. But the mere fact that Leclerc just is owning him is just not a good sign. That's all.
Yeah, good point.
That's my concern anyway. So sprint race. I don't have much to say other than Piastri just backed up his pole with a win.
Yeah.
And Ferrari finished 13th and 17th. There's not much more to say about it. It's pretty uneventful, I think. It was okay. That's why I'm not a big fan. They're like a practice session.
Yeah, I think obviously George Russell held on to his second place. Norris third. Verstappen got past Tsunoda, or Tsunoda led him past, I think, on around the second or third corner. But you're right. There wasn't a lot more that happened. And I think, did Leclerc make a mistake? I think he made a mistake at the start and he dropped back, and then he was probably caught in that DRS train. So he obviously couldn't make any moves after that.
Yeah, and he also despite that, he still was beating Hamilton anyway. But I mean, he was 13th. I mean, he's probably not riding home about that.
No,
You know?
well, 13th and 17th and 35 seconds off the winner in a 19-lap race is pretty horrendous.
It's a train wreck. So to the real deal qualifying. So we had one thing I found interesting in the Sky reporting, which I thought was pretty nice, was they acknowledged Graham Hill's passing 50 years to the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's quite nice to at least recognise it. Yeah, so thank you, Graham Hill. We talk about you a lot in the Standard podcast, and I think, Andrew, you've been involved in many conversations. Was Graham Hill the one that Rosa loved because of his age?
Oh, I think she came to love him. Yeah, so she wasn't a big fan early days, but as he grew older, she became a bit of a favourite of her. Yeah, and I think she had to be reminded of that fact a number of times. I don't think she realised that at the time, but yeah.
Yeah. So SQ1 or Q1, Tsunoda and Hamilton out. Is that the new normal for the latter 2025 season?
Well, I mean, Hamilton's probably not a surprise after the sprint qualifying, but Tsunoda, he qualified 5th in the sprint quali, and then he couldn't get through in the main game. But it's a regular occurrence, as you say, this year. Hasn't made it through too often.
Tsunoda has openly said he knows what his future is, as in he knows he's not in Red Bull. It's like a open secret, I guess.
I think so.
Where's he going to go? I reckon. I was initially thinking he'd go to Aston as a reserve driver, but where does Drugovich go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he stays in Formula One unless, he stays with Honda Power.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could be right. So, but he certainly won't get a main drive. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, I think his career's over. I think that's pretty much. He had a good run. He had a few good years. It's funny how if he'd stayed in that Racing Bull team, he probably would have a drive next year. You think?
Possibly. I think he was pretty evenly matched with Lawson. Hadjar's obviously come in and probably got Lawson's measure. So, I feel like they're going back to their, the way they were 4 or 5 years ago, where they'd promote a rookie every year or every couple of years. So, I think they're looking at Lindblad from F2 next year. So, which is what you sort of have come to expect from Red Bull. And obviously, if they're good enough, and Hadjar looks like he'll be promoted, they give him an opportunity.
If he wants that promotion. I mean, I guess
as we discussed last week, I mean, it's going to be a totally new car and design, so maybe not as max friendly as this one.
Yeah, true. You know what the interesting thing about Hadjar is? He got that seat, obviously, as per the youth program you talked about. He was not super highly rated. He was seen as a good driver, but not like he's going to take the world by storm sort of thing. But he's really outperformed his perception of reputation, He's looking like a really good driver. And I think Red Bull were a bit surprised, I suspect.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at last year's F2, I think, we went through an interesting scenario a couple of years ago where where there was basically no movement in the market. So from 23 to 24, I think every team kept the same driver. So we had that situation where Logan Sargent kept his seat, for example, and a few others hung around for probably a year too long. But then this year we've got, a lot of good youngsters from Formula 2, Hadjar, Bortoleto, Bierman, and a couple of others that have come through and have really taken the world by storm. So, I think it's Antonelli's the other one that's come through. So I think it just sort of shows that, the young guys, you look at Behrman and Ocon at Haas. I mean, Behrman's been, head and shoulders above Ocon, I would have thought, most of the year.
And Ocon you'd call a a typical journeyman driver, really,
Yeah,
now, wouldn't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
He's sort of got to go.
He's had his opportunity.
Yeah. I want to see Dragovic in the track because he's a F2 champion and he's still sitting on the sidelines. That really annoys me.
4 years ago, maybe?
Yeah. How long can this guy sit there for?
Well, I think he's probably waiting for Alonso to retire, but maybe they'll be looking elsewhere as well.
Yeah, by then there'll be a new shiny driver to grab, and Lawrence Stroll has a lot of money to get whoever he wants, pretty much.
Well, he's promoted Newey to team principal as well. So.
I was going to ask you, what do you think of that?
Oh, interesting. I guess at the end of the day, I've sort of been reading a little bit of stuff online, and I think it's mixed people's feelings. It's sort of like, he's obviously a good operator. He knows Formula One by like the back of his hand, but you want him there making sure he designs the car that's going to be winning a world championship. So, as long as it doesn't impact on that, it could be a good move. But ultimately, the success is going to be on how good the car is.
That'll be the judgment. And the question is, clearly he's a people manager because when you're when you're technical director, you're managing designers and engineers. But in this sort of a role, you're managing a really broad range of people. And it's a different skill set, So he could be, how much more greater can he have? How much better can his reputation be? Do you get what I mean? It's a bit like when Michael Schumacher came back from his retirement in 2010. It's like, why are you coming back? You've got all the records. You're the greatest of all time, statistically, all that sort of stuff. And all you're going to do is dilute your success.
Yeah, and look, Aston Martin haven't had a recent history of being able to maintain a team principal for a long time, have they? They've gone through a few in the last few years.
Time will tell. What it means is if he does, because remember, he got given shares in the company. It doesn't mean he owns his majority or anything, but it means, let's say it's not his strength. How easy is it for them to backpedal the whole thing so that they could put him back as technical director and get in a new team principal? Right. Do you get what I mean? It's not going to be an easy transition.
No.
So it's basically he's out. If he doesn't perform, they're going to lose the greatest designer of all time.
Yeah, well, look, maybe he's already designed the car and he wants a new challenge. But, you're probably right. Yeah, what happens if he doesn't perform as team principal? Yeah, where to next?
In fact, funny you say that he designed the car. He's probably designed the next 2 or 3 cars. So he's covered that off. You know what I mean? Knowing Adrian Newey. Yeah. So I'm saying no to the Adrian Newey team principal thing, but I wish him the best, though. That's my view. So let's go to the race, shall we? What we're all here for.
Absolutely.
So what did you think at the start?
Oh, look, I thought it was pretty predictable, to be honest. Everyone was talking about, Verstappen in third, having nothing to lose, being on the racing line.
Yeah.
I think you had to expect that he was going to get past Norris. Most people probably expected it.
And Norris probably wasn't going to get Norris wouldn't have got his elbows out too far.
No, he wasn't going to do that. So that was pretty expected. There was probably a few other little changes of the position around the midfield, but nothing too exciting. And then, we had sort of 6 laps where it just sort of started settling in and you're sort of thinking, well, this could be a pretty uneventful race.
Yeah, until. Wasn't it funny that it happened on lap 7? Oh. That was the perfect number. You know what I mean? If it had been lap 6...
Conspiracy theorists would be out in droves.
When you think about it, if it happened on lap 6, it would have thrown everything out because everyone would have had to have those 2 stops. But laps... or 2... Wait, let me correct myself. 2 normal stops, if you know what I mean. But lap 7 was like the perfect spot because, for those that don't know what we're talking about, Pirelli made a mandate that you can do no more than 25 laps on any one tyre. And because the race was 57 laps, I'm not telling you, Andrew, I'm just telling listeners. So lap 7 plus 25 is lap 32, plus 25 is lap 57. So it was like the perfect peak moment to do the pit stop. So everyone pitted, of course.
Well, nearly everyone.
Nearly everyone. And that's what we're going to talk about, isn't it? Why? Why didn't they pit?
Why?
Oh, I've got a theory, but why do you think?
Look, when I was watching it, and I know this isn't the reason, but I wasn't quite sure whether it was still one lap too early to get to the two
Okay.
pit stops.
Yeah.
And obviously Piastri was the first car through, so you're always in a bit of a tricky situation there as the first car because if you pit and no one else does, all of a sudden you're in a really tough situation because you're at the back.
Yeah.
And it probably will cost you that whole 25 seconds to get through, or you might not even get past those back markers. So
you never would you? Yeah.
No, you probably wouldn't. So I wasn't surprised that Piastri didn't pit, but I was very surprised that they didn't bring Norris in once Verstappen came in, because I think the number one rule would be to cover off your main opposition. And they just didn't do that at all. So that was a bit weird. What's your theory?
Yeah, I thought I think they should have realised very quickly that lap 7:25, lap 7:32:57 worked.
Yeah.
And McLaren seemed to have. I'll tell you the front reason and the back end reason. So my theory is, and I've not done any listening or reading of any social media, by the way. I've been to give you, for those listening, we're recording this in Australia and the race was on at 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. So those of us that have a normal job, you get up a bit earlier, watch the race, go to work. You're normally busy at work. If you're working properly, you're not reading news and social media and stuff. And I was busy today. I was in meetings all day and literally after work came to record this. So I have no idea what the reputation is out there. And like in Las Vegas, one of the drivers could have been disqualified. That's bad if that happens again. But I don't even know. But the point I'm trying to make is initially I thought what you thought, that yes, they should have at least pitted Norris to offset Verstappen. But I also thought they were prioritizing, this is still front end, they were prioritizing freedom versus locked in. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone that pitted on lap 7, they all had to pit on lap 32. You can't go one lap more. And if you do it one lap earlier, you're forced to do another pit stop. So by lapping on lap 7, you're forced to do. So it basically was revealing your hand to everybody.
Yep.
So I thought they even said to the McLaren drivers, that's why I'm calling it the front facing theory, not the real theory, actually. And that's why they said, when it was Piastri or Norris said, what's going on? And they said, oh, they're all locked in. We've got freedom.
We've got
which
flexibility.
Is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got flexibility. And that could have been a genius stroke. Didn't turn out that way, though. So
no. And what's your back end theory?
The back end theory is a theory that makes me quite upset. It's the damn papaya rules BS. Okay? Because you know what? They had two dilemmas to face. And I don't know how switched on these guys are, but I was immediately thinking, how can they do this without getting stuck in the pits, not being able to get out? So let's say Norris goes in. Let's say they do the perfect thing, which is pit them both. Norris goes in, pits, and he can't get out quickly because they've got to wait for a gap. They've got to wait for the next 18 cars to drive past the McLaren pit before he can finally go out. So he might lose a few seconds, right? Even if the pit stop's awesome. Norris comes in double stacking. So if Piastri's waiting 3 seconds to get through, Norris is waiting for the pit stop plus 3 seconds. Then Norris goes in, and Norris is also probably going to have to wait for a gap. And so that they might come out like first and fourth or something like this, right? And so my theory was, number one, they would have realized that there was going to be a pit release problem because everyone's going in. And if they said, okay, we just pick one of you, it's suddenly going to seem like favoritism. So if they pit both, they both lose, with Norris losing more. If they pit only Norris, Piastri will cry foul and say, I was the leading car. Why did you give them the preferential treatment? So they thought, you know what? We'll just screw both of them up.
Yeah, and your theory is the same as David Coulthard's theory that was
did
on
he say that too?
the
Did he?
broadcast. Yeah, that they didn't want to play favourites.
Yeah,
I just felt like because there was an interview with Zach Brown after the race, which you obviously didn't hear, but they asked him about the split strategy, and he just said, "Look, we had decided that we were just going to go and stick with our plan." Now, I'm not sure what the plan was, but I would have thought they would have had a plan that said if there was a safety car after lap 7. So let's say the safety car was on lap 15. It's a no-brainer. You'd go and pit, right? So, to me, it felt like they just weren't prepared to actually make that. And I think, I think for me, they've done it plenty of times this year where they've swapped drivers back after the event. So, you keep Piastri out and you swap strategies and you get Norris in. Now, Norris ends up in front of Piastri, then, why can't you swap them around? I think, they've done it plenty of times. But, they just, obviously they weren't prepared, or they just underestimated totally what, the tyre differential they might have, for example, later in the race, which they didn't really turn out to have, especially over Verstappen.
Yeah, I think they definitely overestimated what that tyre differential was. I think what stopped them doing what you were suggesting was Max was in the picture. So it's not like they could just slot in right in front of Max. Max was not going to let them get away with it because he was in second place. So it made
but
them...
I think that's the theory. That's the whole point of my theory, though, is that you keep your nearest competitor the closest. So if he comes in, you just follow him. If Norris loses 3 points or 5 points to Max, it's still a big advantage in the championship. As it is, he lost 13 points. So but it is what it is, and they admitted they made a mistake. Like they totally admitted they screwed it up. But that's 2 races in a row. This time of the year, right. That's not great form.
I mean, this has got. I'm still recovering from what happened at Monza when they put Norris back in front of Piastri, because I just thought, you can't play God. You can't play God like that. It's just not right. And I'm not saying this is anything like that, but there's still an underlying ethos there about the not playing favourites, and so they're both going to lose. And didn't McLaren earlier in the year say they're not going to play favourites under all conditions, even if it means costing them the Drivers' Championship. Now, I'm pretty sure Zach said that. Does he really mean it? I don't think so. Come on. Everyone knows the Drivers' Championship is what gets all the attention and the media and the...
Well, and I think, let's take a scenario this week where Verstappen's leading, Norris has to finish third, but let's say Russell's in second, Piastri's third, and Norris is in fourth. You can't tell me that they're not going to ask Piastri to move aside. And Piastri will move aside. Like, you absolutely have to do that. But, they've really made it difficult for themselves. You'd still think Norris will be able to finish in the top 3 in Abu Dhabi, but, he could be taken out in an accident. He could have a mechanical. And that's it. So, Verstappen's then in the box seat. But it was pretty strange.
It was, I mean, Piastri after the race was speechless. They made a comment and he just said, what did he say? I'm speechless. Because he had the pace.
I have no words, I think, is what he said.
Yeah, I have no words. I have no words. You know what the interesting thing is? The timing calculation was that the standard pit stop was, now I'm going off rough numbers, but the gap is the same. The standard pit stop was, say, 25 seconds from woe to woe. The safety car one was 15 seconds. So there's a 10-second delta. And how much did Piastri come behind Max? 10 seconds. Mm. So it showed there was no tyre benefit at the end at all. It was surprising, actually.
But I also think, I mean, I've got another point to make about that later, but it's amazing how Verstappen, I think this happened in Qatar last year. He was, and a few races this year, he's sort of nowhere on the Friday.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much more competitive he was in the race compared to his pace and even in the sprint on the Saturday. He was dropping away at, probably a second a lap, whereas he was holding on really strongly here. So they do have that ability to change things up when they need to.
Yeah, I mean, he was in that sprint race. He was saying initially they were saying his car was bouncing, the typical ground effect, and then he said the car's jumping now, and so it sounded like it was getting worse for him. But yeah, it's an amazing turnaround. That team is surprisingly agile, and are they missing Christian Horner? I don't know. They seem to be doing all right without him.
No, I don't think so. I think since he's left, he's come from 100 points down to 12 points down. So something must be going right.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if that's the absence of Christian Horner. That's a big statement to make, but it's a coincidence, right? But I mean, Max is amazing at driving around issues, and maybe Max is just adapting. And I get the feeling that Max is one of those drivers, unlike, say, a Daniel Ricciardo or a Sebastian Vettel, when the car's not to their liking, they go from being a top tier to a fairly average driver. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Max doesn't seem to have that. He just gets in the car. He can drive around most problems or develop the car in a way that enables him to show his talent.
Well, I think develop the car on the fly, I think, as well. So, he's probably the car's acting not the way he wants it to in the sprint race, but he's using that to actually, develop and understand what's going on, so he can feed that back to actually improve it. And, the amount of time that, I think I was listening to a team principal interview a couple of races ago, and they were talking about, what work they have to do overnight. The guys that are in the simulators that are just, so they finish, practice 3 or qualifying and things haven't gone right. And then they've got, probably 2 or 3 drivers in the simulators back in England going all through the night, just trying to understand what's going on. So, that's the crazy thing about Formula One these days. The amount of development you can do, overnight is crazy.
Yeah, it is amazing. What did you think of Max when he made a statement that if he was in the McLaren, he would have wrapped up the championship by now? I love it when people say that, because it's to be honest, I reckon it's true.
Oh yeah, I think it's true. I don't think there's any doubt that he's still, the premier driver out there. So everyone's trying to chase him, and there's no doubt the McLaren's been the best car consistently across the year. So I wouldn't be refuting that. And he just doesn't make too many mistakes, really, does he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Max doesn't win this championship, or if he gets extremely close and doesn't do it, I think he'll be thinking about what happened in Spain. Remember when he drove it to George?
Yeah.
That was like...
Well, that was a brain fade. That was a brain fade. Unlike Max brain fade, that one.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, he's human, which I think is cool that he expresses himself. But at that point, he would have assumed the championship was gone anyway. So that's probably why he did it. If he had a thought that he was in the running, he wouldn't have done that for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Early season aggression, hey?
Absolutely. The other thing I was going to mention was I found it a little bit curious, and I'm not sure whether any of the McLaren drivers had a new set of softs to go
Oh,
onto,
okay.
but especially the
Mm.
Norris one at the end, because he obviously, I think he pitted on lap 25 right when he had
Yeah.
to. He
Mm.
went onto the hards. He wasn't, he was sort of maintaining the gap to Sainz and Antonelli, and
Mm.
then he had the option to go another 5 laps longer, and they brought him in and chucked another set of hards on, and then he just couldn't really
Yeah.
make it up. And I was sort of wondering at the time whether it would have been better to take into lap 50 and then throw some softs on, and he
Yeah.
would have had a much bigger offset. Um,
Yeah.
but they just went with a pretty vanilla sort of
It's very conservative.
option, because
Yeah.
he wasn't going to lose 5th place by going on the softs. Russell was
Yeah.
a long way behind, but
Mm.
and he got lucky at the end because Antonelli ran wide, um, on the second to last lap or the last lap, and he got those last 2 points, which could be pretty
Yeah.
critical for next week.
I think so. I was wondering if engines were going to play a part in all this, because obviously Mercedes have the same engine as McLaren, or they supply the engines to McLaren. And the Williams, funnily enough, have the same engine, the Mercedes engine.
Mm.
I could see Mercedes saying, we didn't give a toss about fourth, off you go. Pat on the back, go get him, Tiger, sort of thing. But I can't see Sainz giving up a podium just to help Norris. So I was glad to see that didn't happen. Although, Antonelli, yeah,
Well, there were some comments around whether Antonelli gave the position up, but
didn't look like it to
Toto
me.
Wolff, he's refuted that. Looks like he just went a bit wide and went off the track.
Yeah,
But Carlos Sainz, again, a great drive. He's, as we said last
amazing.
week, he's really picked up his game, and to
Well,
finish third.
it just shows how long it takes a driver to get into their zone, and he's in the zone now. So
Yep.
you'd think that Albon's reputation is in trouble now if he starts just owning Albon next year. I was expecting Sainz to own Albon all this year, but Albon was awesome in the first half of this year, and he's sort of started to fade as of late, So,
I think they're
but
pretty evenly matched, and obviously the car's a pretty handy car in the right
yeah,
circumstances as well.
I've got a funny feeling that we're going to see a pretty good Williams next year. Like, I'm wondering if the podiums that he's achieved now, is it 2 so far this year? I think he might be, you know what I'm predicting? I'm predicting he's going to be like Alonso at the start of 2023. Remember Alonso got like 7 podiums in a row, or 7 out of the first 9? Like, he was always there or thereabouts. I've got a feeling Williams might be the surprise second fastest car next year.
Well, you could be right, but it could be anyone, couldn't it? It could be the new Aston Martin, could be the resurgent Ferrari. Mercedes. Apparently, Mercedes they're pretty bullish as well. So
yeah,
I mean, it's exciting. A new or it could be like the Brawn GP car of 2009, was it? That just wiped the field.
Blew everyone away. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's all I had to say about the race. I mean, this race was really all about those McLarens and Max Verstappen. It really was. And you had some side players in, Antonelli and Sainz, surprise drivers getting up there. But yeah, it was a good race to watch, actually. You had you on. You know what it made me think, though? That is it a good idea to have maximum laps on a tyre? Because when you think about it, let's say they did that rule all the way through the year, 25 laps no matter what. And then the teams will always have this dilemma. Let's say their drivers are 1 and 2. Therefore, is the preferential pit stop lap 24? And then does that mean that the guy who pits on lap 25 gets the overcut opportunity? And then does the team play God and reverse the drivers? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, I guess the pure aspect of Formula One goes out the window the more you tinker around with that sort of stuff. But I guess my overriding feeling was that if McLaren had just pitted the cars on lap 7, we probably would have ended up with a pretty boring sort of race because I think, everyone would have pitted on lap 7. They would have spread out over the next 25 laps. They would have come in, changed on lap 32, gone to the end. I mean, the other thing as you were talking, I was thinking, well, maybe they should mandate a maximum number of laps on a different compound, for example. So soft tyres 15 laps or 20 laps, and mediums 25 and hards 30 or something like that, or 40.
Yeah.
And that might be, but yeah, that'll need a bit more thought.
And you need to watch the race with a calculator the whole time.
Exactly.
If he goes to
the algorithms would be out.
Oh, it'll be crazy but fun. But I agree with you. Yeah, because McLaren did what they did, it gave us an interesting race. Because if they had pitted, we would have definitely had a Piastri win. Max would have come second, and I think Norris probably would have come fifth. Funnily enough, because he would have. I think he would have been caught out with the double stacking and getting out as fast as the others. So,
yeah, although they did have a reasonable gap at the time, but yeah, I mean, we might still be in a situation where we're. I think it would still be a decider come Abu Dhabi, but maybe not as close as it is now.
Yeah. So who's your pick to wrap this up? Who's your pick for the championship now?
Oh, I still think Norris has got to be. I mean, McLaren were really strong last year there. Verstappen and Red Bull weren't that strong. I think Verstappen finished 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
And as I say, like I think the Ferrari lack of pace has actually done McLaren good, because it's really probably only George Russell to be the spoiler.
Yeah.
So even if Verstappen wins and Russell comes second, surely McLaren can engineer it so that Norris finishes third.
If there's no issue, like you said, a mechanical issue, or
that's right.
I'm an Aussie, as I know you are too. Are you an Aussie? You born in Australia?
Yeah. No, look, I'd love Piastri to win, absolutely, but I think he's definitely the long shot though.
Yeah, I'm calling him the long shot, but unfortunately, I'm picking Max to win it.
Oh, okay.
And it disappoints me because, I mean, it would be the greatest comeback in Formula One history, so he gets a lot of credit for that. But something tells me something's going to go wrong with Norris. Whether it's self-induced or unfortunate, I hope it's not like an engine blow up or something. That would be really disappointing. If it's going to happen, I want it to be not fate related.
Yeah, and he's probably showing that he hasn't handled pressure all that well. So that's going to be it's going to be fascinating to see how it goes.
Yeah, it will be. I'm looking forward to it. Okay,
all right,
that's a wrap. I reckon. You think so too?
I think so.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and thank you, Andrew, for filling in for Rosa. And Rosa may not be coming back for the. In fact, I know she won't be coming back for the next race, but she'll be back for our normal episodes very soon. And we hope all goes well with you, Rosa. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.